They're buying gold and silver by the tons.
Yeah, it's significant because you've always said silver and gold, physical silver and gold, are all you can trust. And more recently you've said, quote, by the end of 2012, every private fortune in the United States will be lost that is secured with only paper.
That was the word that was given to me, that the elite have an agenda. There are many agendas. And I describe about 6 or 7 of them in our new latest DVD series entitled 2012, The Beginning of the End. And one of the agendas is that by the end of 2012, every private, that this is their goal now. They may not accomplish it, but this is their goal. I think they will accomplish it, that by the end of 2012, every private fortune will be lost that is secured with paper. If it's written on a piece of paper, it's worth the paper. It's written on IRAs, 401ks, mutual funds, stocks, bonds, I don't care what it is, city bonds, city stocks, whatever they may be. If it's written on a piece of paper, it is going to be lost. Get out and get out as fast as you can. The elite already have. Okay, this goes back to, again, it's in the archives of many radio shows around the country that I said it. Mr. Fromm was on the phone with me one day, and I was flabbergasted. I said, how do I put food on the table for my family? How do I provide for my children? He said, Chaplain, there's only one thing that you can maintain your purchasing power with. And I said, what is that? He said, that's our currency. I didn't know what their currency was. And I said, what is your currency? He said, gold and silver. Do you realize that's the only thing there's no controls on? You can go to the gold and silver dealers, buy all you want, don't pay any taxes, there's no records whatsoever, you sell it back to them, there's no taxes, there's no records, you pay no sales taxes, you pay nothing. Why? Folks, please wake up and see facts as they are. Why? This is the currency of the elite. Well, at the time, gold could be bought for $600 an ounce. And I went on radio shows everywhere across this nation. I begged, I pleaded, I got on my knees almost, and said, folks, go buy every piece of gold and silver you can get your hands on. Those who did are coming back to me now, and their gold is worth 3 times what it was then. 3 times 6, 1,800. That's right, at 1797, 1798, I believe today, you would have gained 3 times. You can't say that with the dollar. You can't say it with the stock markets. You can't say it with the IRA, the 401k. The currency of the elite are gold and silver, and mark my words, don't you dare sell what you've got now just because the price has gone down. They took it down just long enough for them to secure their assets, buy it by the ton, and gold will be $3,000 an ounce before you know it. Gasoline is going up to $6 to $7 a gallon when they cause a few more crises in the Middle East. And you must make preparation immediately while you have a window of opportunity.
I want to circle back and talk with you about spiritual warfare. The researcher Alfred Adask has made this point, that the elite think that we are animals, and they treat us as such. You're in the business of spiritual warfare, and you're on the good side. Tell me about spiritual warfare, sir, and what's going on this planet.
The best way to put it is the way they put it. I had many private sessions with the elite that I was not on. They were not in my church. I was on their oil field. That made all the difference in the world. Pastors, you aren't going to get them. If you happen to have one of them in your church, which I doubt that you do, but if you happen to have one in your church, he's not going to say things like this to you in your church or even in a counseling session. But I was on their oil field, and they made it known to me in no uncertain terms whatsoever that they feel that they have a God-given right to do what they're doing. Now, please, you need to hear me through on this very quickly. They have a God-given right. They said the average person in the world is so dumb and stupid, they don't know how to control themselves or control the world. We have the New World Order, and we have a God-given right. Now, I ask the next question, and that is, which God? I didn't ask them this because they would have shut up and not talked to me anymore. And I had to keep them talking the whole 3 years I was there so I could try to analyze what they're doing and try to help you today. And I've written 6 books since I was on the Trans-Alaska Oil Pipeline, trying my best to explain to you the mindset and the thought patterns of the elite so that you can beat them at their own game. And which God are they talking about? Now, there's 2 gods in the Bible. There's the true and living God who created all of heaven and earth and sent his Son to die for you on the cross. There is a second God, mentioned in the Bible, the god of this world, the prince of the power of this air. You would know him as Satan or Lucifer, however you'd like to call him. And he tempted Christ when Christ came to the earth. And he offered Christ all of the nations of the world, and Christ never rebuked him. Why? Because they belong to him. Yeah, it does. You read that portion. Many of them are of the occult. Many, not all, but many. They get their directions directly from occult sources, and Satan himself, when you get to the very top 12, of which there is probably that top 12 up there. And whenever they do, they serve their God, and they have their God's right to be able to bring in the New World Order.
Well, that lines up with what I believe to be true and what my research has vetted to be true as well, sir, as it pertains to the Illuminati and those who serve the Illuminati. If we could turn our attention back to questions from viewers, here's one, sir, from SJB, who is a contributor over at SGT Report. SJB asks, what are your thoughts on the territories belonging to the Queen of England, otherwise known as Canada and Australia?
They will suffer just like all the rest of the world is. Now, keep in mind that this is a new world order. This is not just the United States of America. They, in some ways, may not suffer quite as much as we do, but they are going to feel it. I was in Canada for a lecture a while back, and a Canadian walked up to me after the lecture, actually in Canada, and he said, Chaplain, I want to ask you to go back to America. I didn't take offense to it, and I heard the rest of what he said. He said, I want you to go back to America. He said, I want you to fight for everything you're worth. He said, we here in Canada do not have a constitution like you have. He said, we have nothing to return to. He said, you in America still have your constitution, that great document. And he said, if any nation on the face of the earth can ever save the world, you can. He said, I want you to go back to America. I want you to hold the nose of Congress and your government officials to the Constitution of the United States of America. And he said, you and that Constitution are the only hope we've got for survival. Is going to come to a point by the end of 2012, and I have predicted it over and over, by the end of 2012, the dollar will be dead. I did not say it would be non-existent, and don't you dare say that I said that. I did not. I said it will be dead by the end of 2012 to the point that its purchasing power will have diminished to the point it will no longer be the reserve currency of the world. You will have trouble buying groceries merely because of its purchasing power or value. They want it to become so utterly worthless that when they bring in their new currency, you will beg when your children are crying. This is what they want. They do not want riots. They do not want civil unrest. They want to bring in the new world order according to their auspices, and they want to get you to the point where you have so much trouble buying groceries and paying your house payment and living that you will beg for the new world order currency, and they'll have it right ready to issue to you, backed by gold and silver, because by that time gold will be over $3,000 an ounce and silver will be over $75 an ounce.
Okay, sir, well, let me ask you this. Now, I asked you earlier if the New World Order or the Illuminati is losing control, and I guess after speaking with you here, it seems to me that they're not. Everything's going by design. But this question comes from Jonathan, who listened to your latest interview with Jeff Rentz, and he asks, 2012, will it mark the beginning of the end of the New World Order?
Yes. Yes. The New World Order is nothing new. It was tried by Nimrod at the Tower of Babel. And there was a time at which Jehovah, Yahweh, whatever you would like to call him in the Hebrew language, God, as it's called in our English Bible, Lord, capital L-O-R-D, there was a time at which he stepped down and said it's enough. There is a reason why 2012 will be that year. And I'll try to give it very quickly. Lindsey Williams, when the year 2000 came around, remember, I'd been a minister of the gospel for 45 years approximately, and I said something is going to happen on the year 2000. It had to. After all, the Bible, we know from the genealogies of the Old Testament that there were 4,000 years from Adam until Christ. We know there's 2,000 years approximately from Christ until today. And in the book of 2 Peter in the Bible, chapter 3 and verse 8, I'll just quote one section of the scripture. 1 day is with the Lord as 1,000 years. 1,000 years is 1 day. There were 7 days of creation, or 6 days of creation, and 1 day of rest in the book of Genesis. Take this and read the context of 2 Peter 3:8, and you'll find this to be what it's talking about. Let's take those days of creation, 6 of them, and we've got 6,000 years from Adam until the year 2000, and I was assured in my mind, he didn't tell me this, that in 2000 something catastrophic would happen spiritually, and it didn't. Nothing. Something is going to happen in 2012, and there's no question about it. The elite have a think tank, and this is one of the things that I found out this summer that scared the living daylights out of me, and it still frightens me to no end, even as I'm talking about it right here on this radio program. I am concerned, frightened, I don't care how you'd like to put it. Why? Because the ministry of Jesus Christ did not begin at his birth. At his birth, there were nothing but shepherds that came. Oh, the wise men didn't come until probably 2 years later with their gold and silver and frankincense and myrrh and all the rest of it. They came, and they came to a young child in a house. They didn't come to a manger. There was nobody but the shepherds there that night. When did Jesus Christ begin his ministry? Jesus Christ began his ministry when he was bar mitzvahed. Yeah, go to Hebrew tradition, and then go to your scriptures and find out that at 12 years of age they took him to the temple, and he became an adult. He was allowed to read the Torah for the first time in the synagogue. Oh, please. Our new presentation, 2012, the beginning of the end, I take nearly 30 minutes in order to prove this to you in depth with scriptures and other items. At the age of 12, when the parents came back to find him in the temple, I'll read you his exact words. And he said unto them, How is it that ye sought me? Wished you not that I should be about my Father's business? When did he begin his business? When did he begin his ministry? He began it at the age of 12. What are we just about to enter into? We're about to enter into 2012. And when the elite let me know that 2012, they believe that something very soon, even the elite have got sense enough to go study the Bible. They have a think tank just designated for this. They know, they believe, and I'm beginning to believe more and more, that in 2012 we are going to see some divine manifestations that are going to so startle the world in an unusual manner that it will be the most eventful year in 2,000 years. Folks, get ready for it. You are going to face some of the most wonderful, the most exciting, the most marvelous events. I'm so glad God let me live today. I'm 75, and I'm going to enjoy every single minute of 2012 because the prophets would have given anything to live when you and I are living right now. We are, and don't say divine interventions. I did not say that. You must notice the wording. Many of these words I get from them, and whatever I do, I try to give it to you because their wording is very important sometimes. Like Mr. Fromm said to me, he said the dollar will be dead by the end of 2012. He did not say it would be non-existent. You've got to understand the mindset of the elite. Most people don't. We're going to see in 2012 divine manifestations, not divine intervention. When Christ came the first time, they thought, he's going to come and save us from the Romans. Don't you expect the Lord to save you from the New World Order in 2012? In fact, don't you expect him to save you from the collapse of your currency in 2012? What should you expect? You should expect the same thing that Daniel expected. Did he keep him out of the lounge den? No. He let him go to the lounge den. But he went in the lounge den with him and closed their mouths, and he came out perfectly safe the next morning. Mm-hmm. Don't expect the Lord to save you from the New World Order. You can expect, and the elite know this, and they're scared. They know, and I'll answer your question, Sean, there positively will be a beginning of the end of the New World Order in 2012. They're falling apart. Yes, they are. They have grave dissension amongst themselves right now, and their program will fall apart just as did the Tower of Babel by divine intervention, and I believe that, and they believe it. They know this, and they're scared, that in 2012 And that's the reason I named our new DVD presentation, 2012, The Beginning of the End, is because this comes directly from their thinking. It's going to be the beginning of the end of some things that they've hoped to see happen that I don't think they'll ever see happen.
Well, sir, thanks again for your time. It's just always a joy and an honor to speak with you, and thanks again.
Well, I have urged talk show hosts that I've been on with since I began giving this new material. I've urged them to please consider the possibility, as we begin to see very unusual events take place in 2012, allow me to interpret somewhat and be on your show on a regular basis. I would welcome the opportunity to be able to tell you what they are telling me or what they're willing to tell me. Sometimes they won't talk about certain things.
Sure.
And what we actually see physically happening according to what they say, considering that they're human beings, but they have to interpret this too. So if you would consider the possibility,
of course,
as the months go along, on allowing me to be with you when you see these events begin to happen, give me a phone call. I would welcome the opportunity to come on and try to interpret these things for you to the best that they give it to me and that I'm seeing it happen. And we are going to have some exciting days ahead.
Yeah, if it's okay with you, let's talk again right around the new year. And if there's anything that happens in the meantime, please email me or call me if you'd like to speak. I'd speak with you at any point. We could do one of these anytime.
I'm more than happy to be of help to you. That's my business, is trying my best to help people know the issues. And I want to thank you so much for allowing me to be on your show today.
It's all my pleasure. Thank you, Lindsey. We'll talk again soon.
Lord bless.
God bless, sir. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.